Okay, it's 6:06. We're here, this Land Acquisition Commission. This is a special meeting, December 17th, 2024. Members present: Cassandra Marshall, Adam Goodman, Tara Hawley, and Rob Wilkins. And joining us on the phone is Tim Bishop, the Conservation Director for the town of Fairfield. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. One topic, the main topic that we're here for today is to continue our discussion on the plan of conservation and development. We had a meeting about a month ago where we were here in this room and we brought up the draft POCD, and we had a effective discussion over what was in there and what we think should be in there, and we jotted some notes down. We haven't sent anything official to the the subcommittee, planning and zoning subcommittee, but we're planning on formalizing a letter with some bullet points and sending that off for their review prior to some goals they have in January. I believe at some point in January, the comment session is going to get close to wrapping up, maybe not, but we'll still have a chance to continue adding comments, submitting comments. So basically, we're here to bring up, elaborate a little bit more on what we want to include in our letter to the subcommittee. So, what we went over,
because none of this is this is hard work to go through a report like this and offer commentary. And I don't know if you've gotten a chance to look at some of the other letters. Yeah, there's been some really good other letters that were submitted that just talk about detail. They talk about the spacing of the words, Sustainable Fairfield. And very impressive. If you haven't seen the Sustainable Fairfield, I sent it to these guys. I don't think it's easy. I'm happy to send it to you. I think it's a whole 10.
We were just talking about it before you came in.
About this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mary Hogue.
It's Mary Hogue.
Yeah. Hi.
So I know, this must have taken a ton of time to put together. And so it's hard for us to dedicate that much time. That's why we're having these meetings, so we can keep fleshing it out. But on that point, I'll just add that I looked, and there's no scheduled TPZ. There's a TPZ meeting tonight, right now, but there's no other ones. The next Tuesday would be Christmas, so they're not going to have it then. And then the Tuesday after that is New Year's. So I don't think we're having it then. So I suspect that this is the last TPZ meeting in December, which means they're probably not going to be hearing any more comments or discussing the POCD until January, and maybe even the end of January. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is we have today, which is, I appreciate everybody coming back together to talk about this. But I think we have our next meeting in January is the 17th, or what?
I think it's the 7th.
So we have another meeting
which we will include this as a long item. We have some other things. Tim's found a few properties and have his list that we'll go over.
Great. But that would be, I think, a good goal for us, Rob, is to give ourselves, I think that's some homework over the holidays on this, and then revisit it again on the January 7th meeting, and then try to come up with our letter shortly after that, because we really got to get that submitted before they have their next meeting.
So you said Sustainable Living wrote Fairfield, and Mary wrote that, but then I'm just looking at her LinkedIn, so she's the Charter Revision Commissioner.
has think
Oh,
her
so
hand
she
in a
did
lot of
both.
different
Yeah,
things,
okay.
yeah. I don't know if Mary wrote the whole thing or if she had help from other people.
Okay.
It's impressive.
And then she's a member co-founder of that, yeah.
There's also, I mean, the Harbor Management Commission also submitted something that was very detailed, and, so I think I think that, you know, it leaves big shoes for us to try to do the same thing. But a lot of, and I'm gonna point out some of the Sustainable Fairfield comments, I think we could reiterate some of the things that they bring up.
Okay.
You know, I think that there's some overlay for
They've
sure.
done some heavy lifting.
They have, yeah.
Sorry I'm late, but that's something from Sustainable Fairfield. It was what, submitted to the,
To
Yeah.
the TPD for the POCD, yeah, I can send it to the group. There's a whole bunch, if you go to the town, you can see all of the documents that were submitted, they have a website, and this is one of them, there's many other letters and
Under
things.
which,
Under, good question.
With the POCD.
I can just, I'll send, well, I'll send
Here's
you
one public comment, fall 2024. Okay, so here's, could be in here,
Yeah, that's some of them.
James one, yeah.
Show them where that is.
Yeah, okay, so, okay, so this is where the POCD draft is, I don't know if anyone's been here before, but this is the main landing page, so here, it would be in this page here, but you can get to this just like doing a Google search of Fairfield POCD.
oh, okay.
so Rob, the thing you just pulled up at 5 pages, the one right below it was also called public comment, and it looked like about 10 times the size.
They're just, they batch them. So they get like 20 and they'll batch it and submit them all.
Okay, so here's 72 pages.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's worth, you know,
Yeah.
what's nice about these, you can skim through them if you don't care about the housing aspect and you want to focus on land,
Yeah.
land acquisition.
Well, that's why we have to get ours in, is it needs to be part of.
It is part of the public record, yeah, I agree. As long as it can go in before the next meeting where they're discussing this aspect of the POCD, I think we should be okay.
Okay, so commission comments are in here too, wrapped in with public comments. Some other commissions, but it's all the same.
Yeah, and even like, the guy on the phone submitted something here, submitted a letter where he clarified the,
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Tim. He
Yeah.
clarified the data, you know, number of acres of conservation land, parkland, private open space, 17% of Fairfield's total land area, 3240 acres.
Mm-hmm.
And, there wasn't specific recommendations that I saw, for the POCD, but some helpful revisions to the data that we use in ours. So it's good, we should use this updated info in our letter.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, Rob, I actually took, if you remember when we left the last meeting, Cassandra was gonna, work up an edit of a letter we were gonna send, and then we were like, okay, let's pause it. I took it and then I added some more things and sort of subdivided it into different sections to make it a little more clear. I made some copies, and it's two-sided. So it's what you had,
So
and
you didn't circulate this yet?
no, I literally just did, kind of, and it's just some ideas, and we could go through it, I don't know how you wanna deal with this, but,
That's a good question. I mean, we got a lot of material, and I think, you know, I mean, at least for now, we can go through some of it, but, you know, we're here to kind of teach ourselves where everything is on the town website and things like that. And then you can go there and get all the comments from the public. But,
well, I think we should at least go through what we've written so far.
Yeah, let's go through what you did here. This looks great.
I highlighted the sort of main headers, the same main topics that I thought, you know, we had so far. Not that we can't add more. And a lot of the comments here, the bullet points are just things that I've heard from other people, or I've read, or I've thought myself. And they're not really very specific recommendations, but they're just sort of things that I want to make sure we check off when we write our comments, make sure we cover these things, and if we think they're important.
And I think we should definitely have the first section for sure, lay the groundwork of the importance of conservation.
Yeah, I think that was one of the main gists of Sustainable Fairfield and others, is that the POCD really needs to outline like all about the conservation that we have, the conservation values that we currently have, all the benefits, as well as the history, like the fact that Fairfield was the first town to have a conservation commission. You know that?
And
Back in 1948?
I think so.
Wow.
I
Wow.
have to check that, but I'm pretty sure that was what
That Larson?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it'd be cool, like, what is the first open space that they preserved?
Right.
So, just some history. But I think that's, if you look at other POCDs, I know the two overriding things I noticed with looking at like Westport's and others, like theirs is way simpler. Ours is so wordy and discombobulated, it's hard to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But also a lot of them, it's a plan of conservation. Conservation is before development, and they focus on that first. And ours really slant towards the development aspect. And I think that's a lot of criticism throughout these letters that were sent in as well. Like, where is the conservation side?
Like this thing that you sent around,
Right.
it's all about that, it's nice that we have a transit-oriented development plan, but you've left out all of the conservation elements of that.
Exactly.
So how do we do that? Your first highlighted thing, how do we write that?
I'm Googling, open space, Fairfield, whatever, and then so this would be under conservation department. So you want me to I'm trying to find the first open space purchase? For the history?
Yeah. We can do that another time too. We don't do that work right now, but I just thought something like that would be cool to have,
Yeah.
Talk about the history of the town, and they do some of that for sure.
I have that on the spreadsheet in my office.
Do we envision like a big letter, like not as big as Sustainable?
Yeah, there's no way we can do that. That's a good question. I don't know. What do you guys visualize?
I think we can keep it, we can condense it,
We need recommendation. At the end of the day, we need something to say, we think you should do this, and here's our recommendations, and spell it out. And that's what I think will be most helpful to the TPC to come away with. Because I don't know, is someone actually gonna read all these letters and read the Sustainable Fairfield and implement it into the new draft? Is that what the FHI is gonna do for the POCD? I think they're the ones that wrote it. That seems like a ton of work, or is this something that the TPC is just gonna look at and say, gee, this is a nice thought, maybe we'll incorporate something, because there's so much information and little edits here and there. I don't know how they're going to bring it
The
home.
most important part is asking for a specific funding mechanism. That's what would be the most effective change to this.
I know, yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, no matter what we put here, if we have no money to do any of it.
And we've always been, in this commission, been talking about that, like, where's the funding, and how can we increase it? So it's pretty much been like, most of our meetings,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we can come up with great ideas, but if there's no money to do them.
Great point, great point.
That just feels awkward to me to write down, because it's like, can we change so we get some like budget line items here, or I don't know.
Well, you did it already with what you've written. I mean, we should talk about this, because this is I think this is one of our major recommendations, is that, the funding. And I don't even think it's so much as like, let's create additional sources of revenue, which we should do. I think we should look for additional sources. But I think just enforcing the existing regulations as they are, it would accomplish so much.
And
because
clarifying that a little bit more.
the in lieu fund, yeah.
Right.
And clarifying that a little bit more,
Mhm.
not on like,
Yeah, I think you're
back of
right.
the envelope appraisal,
I
or
think you're
however
right.
they're valuing the property. Because that wording was, not so clear when we were looking at the Silson Road property, right? It wasn't like a third-party independent appraisal, it was like town value.
They just looked at the field card,
Yeah,
however old it was, and then took 10% of the
yeah,
fee.
it's just not
That's
accurate.
like $90,000.
When
Yeah.
we send this via email or however we do it, we should bold that paragraph and leave everything else neutral.
Yeah, I mean, there should be like 3 independent appraisals. And you take the average or something.
There's so here's the regulation, I can send this to the subdivision regulation parts, where they talk about it, and it's already here.
For fee and lieu?
For fee and lieu, and a little bit, what's that?
What year did that?
I don't know what year this is,
I
but
mean, I get that you're gonna get pushback from developers, because you talk to any developer right now, nationally, they're saying, especially in New York City, but their overall fee is 25%. They claim comes from dealing with towns and associations and permitting. It's all the soft costs that they're getting hit with,
25% of their development costs
Oh,
are
soft
fees,
costs.
yeah.
and fees and regulations.
Environmental consultants.
Yeah, so you're certainly gonna get pushback, but,
so the first thing is, the commission can decide not to accept land. They can, because it says, their discretion whether there are inadequate areas in the subdivision which merit preservation. Like, do you remember when we looked at that,
Yeah, Mill Hill.
Mill Hill Road, and when the developer basically gave us a 5-foot buffer as a perimeter around the development,
yeah.
and said this totals 10%, that to me doesn't merit preservation. Yeah, it's connected to open space, but it's not really adding to open space as a meaningful.
It had wetlands, so
It was sort of
what
already.
was the point?
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything with it anyway.
So I think that we can maybe drill down more into what the regs are and how it'll affect us, how it would equal more income for us to acquire properties.
You guys had a meeting with someone about this, right?
We mentioned it
Yeah.
to Bill,
Yeah.
yeah,
We did, met with Bill, we just, we kind of explained to him what our issue is with
But
the
they-
way things are.
Details like that. It's really planning or conservation or planning and zoning that.
Right, which is, we do still plan to meet with Jim Went at some point, any one of us.
Who's Jim, sorry?
Planning and zoning.
But if they pay the fee, it should go into a fund for us to buy open land somewhere else, not just into a general fund.
Yeah, it currently
Right,
kind of
it's
goes
conservation.
into a general fund.
Right, but it should go to us, or
And
to
Yeah.
they just use,
yeah.
and
used
they
for
just used
great,
it,
for
didn't
great purposes, but used for,
Tim, they just bought that property, on
On
Sturgis, right, with the,
or Bronson.
oh yeah, next to Perry Mill Pond?
Mhm.
Because I'm curious, was that open space funding that bought that? Did we hear?
Yeah.
That was, so they probably depleted the fund with just buying that, I suspect.
well.
Do you remember what
I
the
don't,
balance was?
I think it was over
that's the big
$1 million.
mystery, what the balance of it is,
Jim?
it's just kind of it's a,
Tim, was that the?
Yeah, we did use 350,000 from that fund. There's at least, it's at least double that, the balance, so, it's definitely not depleted. So there's still probably at least 400,000 or 500,000 in that pot right now.
okay.
There's very good examples of why we need this money to
Yeah.
buy, when things
Right.
come up like this. The other property that I don't know if Jim was gonna talk about that maybe you know or don't know, and I think, since we're talking about the property, sorry,
Yeah.
is there's a new listing that for 27 acres of land. It's a great, I'm looking at it as Aspetuck, but it's a great opportunity for the land trust to partner with the town, to partner with both towns, because it goes,
We're in Fairfield?
it connects Brett Woods to the Girl Scout camp.
Oh, wow.
Fairfield listing.
It's a Fairfield Westport listing. It's on the Aspetuck River, humongous conservation value. I haven't walked it,
Yeah.
but there's rivers right there, there's a lot of wetlands. It's $3.5 million listing, 27 acres, and I think only one lot. I think there's only one legal lot, because there's no
Right.
access.
It is adjacent open space.
And it has, well, across 136 is Brett Woods, and to the north, adjacent to the north, is a Girl Scout camp. So it's got great
It
connectivity.
must be more, primarily on some Westport's property. 'cause
It's
I
primarily
literally
Western,
just pulled-
primarily Western.
Oh, Western, because
Yeah.
I just pulled land.
It's
there.
one of the smaller parcels, it's Fairfield, but it's all contiguous. My
Yeah.
point is, and this is something that I wanted to highlight, make sure we highlight in our letter, is really pushing the partnerships with,
Yeah.
and And they do mention working with
People
ACPA,
work together,
but other towns, I mean,
three
that is,
towns and,
that's really the only way that we're gonna be able to increase the pace and scale of land conservation, is if we get more people involved, to get more resources and that sort of thing, because this
yeah.
is $3.5 million, we're not, no one's gonna
Right.
buy that.
If you're not aware of the system, then some-
No, because it must be Weston.
I literally saw, it was over the weekend, I heard about it, and then I saw the guy put it in the sign up today.
Yeah,
it was great.
Weston, yeah.
But those are.
Adam, if you want me to set up a meeting with Colin, I'm happy to.
With who?
With Colin Kelly.
Is that the conservation director for Weston?
Did you say Weston or Westport?
Yeah, I believe it's Weston.
Weston, okay. Gotcha, okay.
I don't know, I mean, I'd like to get your take on the property also before you do that, Tim, I don't know.
Well, we can talk about it.
We can talk about it at the next meeting.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
it doesn't
okay.
sell, I don't think it's gonna sell. For that much.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I mean, unless somebody's like doing hunting on it or
Yeah.
for some other reason.
But it checks a lot of boxes for, land that we'd want to save. So, getting back to this in lieu of fund, the thing actually does say, where is it? I have it right here. Okay. Here, it says, the fair market, this is from the regulations, and I know we talked about this.
Yeah.
Probably from the charter,
I don't, this is
maybe,
section 2 point,
from 1997 when the commission was formed.
I'm not sure. It says that the fair market value shall be determined by, and tell me if this is what's been going on.
Yeah.
The fair market value shall be determined by an appraiser jointly selected by the commission and the subdivider. They have, from what I can tell, have not received any independent appraisals. They're just using the town appraised value, which is not only potentially 3 years old, but also that it's always valued less by the town. It's not performed the same way.
Right, and it should,
Are they using assessed
three.
values, or they're using fair market values?
That's best, I think.
I mean,
Well, that's
where's
still
the
good.
file?
That's all good. That's like 70%.
Yeah, and where's the file?
That really drops down the amount of money.
And that really affects us, and we shouldn't
I
let
don't know what you
do
think,
that
but
invest as a builder.
And it
No.
should
Is there any reason not to
be
put in our-
three appraisals, and it
It
should be
is-
the medium of the,
Okay,
well, there's some regulations, so it has to set the follow the
That's
regulations. We can say what the great work would be, but.
we talk about that, adding.
even if the developer gets to pick the appraiser.
Of course.
I mean,
But
I
I don't think,
Our comments are gonna kind of zero in on what the existing
Yeah.
regulation is and how we feel there needs to be an enforcement mechanism
Right.
to
it
follow.
needs to be filed.
you tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's
It
out
needs
of
to be a
bounds to
checklist
put in our
for all.
recommendations that you guys met, which is an important issue for the commission.
That-
You guys met with the first selectman to talk about it, you're planning a
Yeah,
meeting
we
with
gotta add that.
P and Z.
That's good.
It's something that it's very important to us.
The beginning of this Harbor Management Commission letter is actually a kind of a nice thing. It talks about like when they met and just sort of prefaces the setup to show that, we didn't just do this on a whim. We've been thinking about this for a while.
Okay, this topic was on the agenda.
Yeah, that's some good language.
But we're here right now, we're
Yeah.
here in November.
And like what Mark said,
We
like,
talked about it at the regular meeting.
just to be able to let the TPC know that, hey, we met with first selectmen, these are issues that aren't just coming up now, these are things that are important.
Exactly.
That's good.
Do you guys have another date for that meeting, and record it? That you met with Mr. Lewis?
I can get it.
I'll put it in both, and I just.
Probably sometime in March or something this year. I don't know what it is.
But I think that is
So that's
a
our
big
priority.
big point that we should enforce the existing statute.
Yeah.
But I liked what you wrote also about additional force funding sources. I don't know if any of them, I don't know that changing the code is necessarily one of
I don't
them.
know, what is the I'm even wondering the process on that. So planning and zoning would have to say, okay, make a proposal, and then would RTM have to vote on it? Like, how would that even go through the process of change?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would find that you have written here, they would be the ones
Do you have notes for what you want to say, Mr. Martin, when you meet with him? Can you ask him that question?
But the question is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about
Well, we would want to do it in
request to raise fees,
I can
Yeah,
ask,
changing the wording or changing the,
increase the fee.
mechanism in which we raise funds. How would we even go about getting that voted on and changed?
I just, that'd be just part of the town budget process, right?
Right.
Is there somewhere where you can go back and look at like the last year's transactions and go and see what the appraisal was?
so I did get a spreadsheet that I haven't shared, that I got from somebody that Wentz gave it to. And it's a list of all the
And
all
where,
the properties.
and the appraisal?
I think it has,
I mean, haven't most of the acquisitions been tax foreclosures?
no, these are subdivisions, right? These are subdivisions.
What you're talking about?
Yeah, the in lieu fee, in lieu fund, and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
Fee is
investment.
calculated.
You know, it does indicate, and it does show all the properties, and it shows a balance of like,
how much money is it?
1.15 is what it said, amount paid. I think this is from last year, it's not totally.
Yeah.
But still, you get a
Right,
sense.
just be curious,
Yeah, you're welcome to look at this and send that over,
Yeah.
send that to you.
Yeah, just be curious, I'll take a look at it.
My other thought is that the POCD can just set a goal for that. Like, it doesn't have to happen immediately, but they could say, within 5 years, we would like to add a mechanism for raising funds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, because the point is just to set a goal for the town.
Right.
I can ask a lawyer about that, the land use lawyer. That's a good question, like, how easy is it to change this? Like, I don't wanna start barking up a tree that is
I think
something.
that we would have to have planning and zoning agreeing with us, because they would be the main force to
Right.
make that happen.
They would have the rate card, so to speak.
But I still, regardless, I still like it as an additional funding idea.
I don't know, I'm just thinking, it's like, okay, if the developers stop developing because fees become so high, do we go down a different avenue to create funding? So you put a little fee on somebody who buys new construction?
On what?
Now, like if you bought a new construction in the town, put it on the buyer, pay a fee?
Well, we had a bold idea.
Yeah.
Cassandra had a bold idea of like a 0.5% sales tax, the local sales tax for open space purchases.
Yeah, or I'm saying, if you buy new construction, the buyer has to pay some sort of tiny.
I just feel like we're just,
Seems like we're getting in over our head.
so
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
I mean, out in Nantucket, you get hit. You buy a property, you're paying a
Right.
land bank fee. You get
Yeah.
a land bank fee.
I mean,
And that's big in
And
New
they've made
England,
a
all over.
fortune. And that's where they've gotten all the funding to
What
be
is it
able to
called?
buy the land.
Land bank.
A land bank fee.
Maybe we should talk to some people in Nantucket about what to do.
Yeah, I mean, they raise billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and then every time, and they can be competitive in buying
Yeah.
property too.
Yeah, and there's big numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers are getting bigger here, so.
I think that these additional funding ideas, we could just basically summarize in a small paragraph without going into a lot of detail.
Because the POCD is just going to set a goal of within however many years, we would like to update, modernize, the way that.
For us. I like the idea of the goal, of setting the goals, but I think the real meat of our letter in this section is gonna have to be doing what it says to do, what the current rate, because let me ask you, the one on Stilson, that was appraised for 900 and like, I have it here, actually.
Yeah, for the lot.
It's
Oh, and Nantucket, you pay 2% of your purchase price. But everybody wants the same thing out
Only
there.
for new construction?
No, just every time you,
Every
2%,
transfer.
2%, hence why they have so much money.
New York City.
I just, our people are gonna revolt, the builders would revolt, like, everybody would just.
Yeah, but out there, everybody wants the conservation,
Right.
so
Well,
nobody really pushes back to protecting all the
Not
land.
that big an island.
Yeah.
2318 Mill Plain Road was appraised for $925,900.
How many acres?
It was it doesn't matter, it's 10
Oh, yeah, oh,
lots.
that's what, no, we went over that.
10 lots.
And it wasn't highest and best use.
And so it
It's
says,
based on
it
its
is-
current use.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
we wanted to look at it from its highest and best use.
right,
Well, that's.
it says, in this case, it says the
We should have that in the
pre-subdivision.
letter, highest and best.
Yeah.
Subdivision.
It says the pre-subdivision value is this amount.
That's different.
And it, I wonder if, did it say that in the, right,
Can you text me?
They're appraising it on its current condition.
what do you want?
Can you text me or email me that document?
Yes, I'm going to, yes, I'll do that.
Correct.
To the group, yep, yep. So, yeah, so the town got $92,600.
Right.
And, but what I'm confused about is,
And then ultimately, how many houses did he go to?
10.
So he's $16 million.
so what I don't understand in terms of the regs, and let's see if I have it here, is that it may actually say pre-subdivision here. It's a little confusing because it talks about a denominator and a numerator. The numerator is one, the denominator is the number of approved lots in the subdivision. So I'm confused
Yeah, I
about.
mean, you can do it as its highest and best with the housing on it, right? So that's 16 million, or you can just look at it as the lots. If you subdivided those lots and pulled them one off right now, I mean, that's 6.4 million.
Mhm.
I mean, he would get 800,000 for those lots all day long.
So, and I've done a lot of appraisals recently, and the highest and best use is to subdivide it. And they don't even need they need is
Yeah.
one road in there with the cul-de-sac, and they're accessing all these. I feel like that was,
Still undeveloped.
that was the value of the land that person was paying at the
Yeah.
time. That wasn't the value of the highest and best use of developing it. And I just,
Yeah.
but the thing is, if the regs say you're allowed to do that, then you're allowed to do that. I just haven't seen that.
Right.
Where it says that.
Hey, Tim? Tim?
Yep, go ahead.
Hey, I was just wondering if you had a view on all this. It's kind of the stuff that you deal with every day, and it's your funding source.
Well, I guess, what part are you looking for my view on?
Well, I mean, would you want to see it based on, the appraisal as its existing condition, or do you say as its subdivided land condition, or do you say the fees based on the highest and best with housing on it?
Single family homes next up.
I mean, because the value went from 900,000 to $16 million.
I guess I was asking a simpler question, which is really,
Don't put you on the spot.
don't you think this is an issue? Do you think this is an issue, that this funding source for land acquisition in Fairfield doesn't seem to be operating the way that it's supposed to?
Yeah, I think it is an issue because, one, inventory is a problem. It's really developed, unless you find some big lots up north that somebody's gonna, divide, or the one on Sasko Hill Road, that was a giant parcel, and now it's carved up into, 5 or 6 lots. So yeah, I mean, the inventory as far as land goes is an issue, and then the question is, just like you guys discussed, was how do you value it? The appraisal isn't always, it's what the old saying of it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay. And similar to the Sturgis Road property was, we had an appraisal, but what we ended up paying was slightly over that, because I don't know, that's what kind of the market was doing, and what the seller thought it was worth. So that negotiation happened. And we did pay a little more, which, I mean, you're not going to say, well, here's the appraisal. It's not like a car where they have a price on the window and this is like what you pay. So it is difficult. I don't know what the right answer is. I think the money that planning and zoning is generating into this fund, the one I mentioned, no one's really dipped into that until I did for Sturgis Road. So that does keep generating money that's available, and no one else in the other departments is really pursuing, I'll call it, acquiring land other than my department and, the work I do with you guys. So there is that money there, and it is kind of, I don't want to say hidden or quietly laying there, but it's because no one else really is interested except because it's not in their purview. So it's really my department and you guys that have to say, hey, we got this great use for that pot of money, let's go use it. And then it gets replenished. So as far as tactics to expand that, sorry, go ahead.
Tim, how did you end up with the $350,000 number for Stilson? Like, why was there $350 from that fund and the rest was from some other source?
So we used 3 funds for that acquisition, and the $350 really came up from carving up the price from 3 different funding sources. One being ARPA money, which is in a couple weeks not an option. The other was this TPZ fund, and then the other one is a trust fund held by my department as the Board of Selectmen and BNY Mellon Bank as the co-trustees. So it ended up as $350 because there was just 3 sources divided by a million, basically.
Okay. And who's the decision maker on that? Who decides we're gonna divide it 3 ways, we got these 3 sources, this is the way we're gonna go forward? Who decides that?
It was a collaborative decision between me and really in finance and the administration when I brought them the idea the first time, saying, hey, this is great, this is the idea I have for this property. 1, does the town want it? And 2, where's the money coming from? So that's when that discussion happened of, hey, well, we could use some ARPA money before it's gone. Hey, Tim, how much is in your Smith Richardson Trust Fund? And, oh, by the way, how much is in the planning and zoning in lieu of pot? So then it was like, all right, well, we have enough now. How are we going to carve it up? And it was, hey, let's cut it by 3.
Good. You got it done. It's a great property. I have one other just quick question, and maybe everyone here at the table knows the answer to this, but I don't. When the developer is looking for something and they have to pay this fee in lieu thing, who supervises that? Is that just P&Z? Or is there someone else who's involved in that decision?
Well, it says the developer hires the appraiser.
No, it says the commission and the developer jointly select the appraiser, which is, I don't think
Should be, yeah.
And the commission means
TBD.
TBD or not. Okay, so that's the process with TPZ and the developer.
Okay, this is actually the process, and this is actually what I wanted to talk about. There's 2 parts. One is, are you gonna donate 10% land, or are you gonna donate 10% of the appraised value? And like with the Mill Plain one, you can't just donate land. And I'm gonna send these into you. They actually specify exactly the kind of land you can donate. It says the commission at discretion may require open space dedication. And it says the land to be dedicated under this section shall be integral, chosen on the basis that it has suitable access, shape, dimension, character, location, and topography. And then it goes through a list.
As decided by whom?
By them. They're deciding, but it's supposed to promote the town's master plan. It's supposed to provide green belts, hiking, bridle trails connecting to existing parks.
Okay.
It's supposed to preserve the appearance, character, and natural beauty of an area. It's supposed to be preserved for park or recreational purposes, for conserving natural resources. I think that's to get away.
Like, what land wouldn't you want?
Well, like, I don't think we'd want the mill plain. I think we should have taken the money in that case.
Yeah.
They're not Mill Plain, Mill Hill Terrace, Mill Hill Road, or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they did
Where
the
they
perimeter.
just, they just did like a little
We gave us land
perimeter.
that we couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
We did there.
We didn't get the money,
Yeah.
okay. So that's the first thing, is it open space land? And then, if they wanna do, and then if they determine that it's inadequate areas in the subdivision which merit preservation, so if there's areas that you aren't good for preservation, by one of the methods that I just read, then there are other areas, okay, then it says, in the event such fee is required by the commission, such payment shall be equal to not more than 10% of the fair market value of the land to be subdivided prior to the approval of the subdivision. So the land is supposed to be evaluated prior to the approval of subdivision.
Okay.
Okay, but and maybe you know, that doesn't change the appraisal, whether there's an approved subdivision, because
Oh,
it's,
but absolutely.
it may, but if an appraiser can look at a subdivision proposed plan that's not approved, and say, and talk to the town, and say, is
It's
this
not the highest
legitimate?
and best use.
Is this possible? Oh, yeah, they could totally do that without any amendments. Then the appraiser can assume that this thing can be divided up and appraised appropriately. And that's not happening, for
Yeah.
sure, that's not happening.
Yeah. For highest and best use.
I like
That's
that.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, these are proposals to.
That's an appraisal term.
So, I mean, this is what it says that they're supposed to do, but it says the land subdivided prior to the approval, so maybe that's up for negotiation, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little gray.
It's a little gray.
Well, the language is saying it's benefiting the developer,
Is it?
not benefiting us.
So we could ask them to revise that, yes,
I feel like that's what the
To
other
clarify
questions are
this.
doing.
yeah, that's a good recommendation.
So that's paragraph
Clarify.
what?
2.38,
The topic of discussion.
2.3.8,
Best
Yeah.
use.
paragraph
And
3.
then is it highest and best use of just lots, or is it, are we looking at full benefit of the property?
Like, we are buying a property,
Like 8 lots, which are, as you said, worth more.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
now, we could sell
Yeah,
for
right.
800,000.
Right.
Yeah,
we're buying a property, that's
like
land
meeting the developer in the middle for the proper value of it.
well, the developer's been getting a good deal for all these years, is
Yeah.
basically what's been happening.
But the process would be the developer comes in and says, I want to take this property and I want a 10-lot subdivision.
So it's already a record that they want 10 lots.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I have a million questions, but one question would be, at what point do you determine the fee in lieu? Is it when they're requesting a 10-lot subdivision, in which case it's kind of binary? It's, is it the value of the property before the subdivision, or is it the value of the property after the subdivision, which is gonna be big? What they're asking for is a subdivision, so shouldn't it be the value of the property after the subdivision? I don't think it should be necessarily the value of the property with 10 McMansions on it, but it should be the value of the property that they're asking for,
Yeah,
not the one that they're buying.
Well, I'm arguing it doesn't make a difference.
yeah. But you could take a subdivision map and bring it to an appraiser and say,
That's what,
what's it worth?
we're buying a 65-acre farm in Monroe that the town tried to buy, and they got it appraised $1 million. The land trust came in, the owner had a subdivision map laid out, I showed it to the appraiser, $3 million appraisal.
Yeah.
It's so,
Taxes based on this? Like, you
Access
can
is-
mess around with it, right?
what's that?
Isn't taxes based on the appraised value? Like, why, how is it so fluid like that?
And I think there's a difference between what the town is appraising.
What was the official record then, whatever's on the tax,
Yeah, that's what the taxes are, right?
But if this all happens before subdivision is approved,
Right.
then the assessed value of the lots, unsubdivided, is gonna be a fraction of what it
Yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what's going on here.
But the language you read to me, and I'll take a look at, I am a real estate lawyer.
Oh,
The language you read to me sounds like whoever wrote it intended it to be
Yeah.
before a subdivision was
Yeah.
approved.
That's right.
It's
So
benefiting the developer.
Right.
So this commission can't just say you need to enforce the regulation, we need to say you need to change the regulation.
Yeah.
In the interest of fairness, and you're concerned about doing that, or?
No, I just think you're right. That's-
And if the price goes up,
that's the
maybe
discovery.
the percentage fee goes down.
Right. Good deal.
You give a little, hey, we reduced your fee, but we changed language.
I would definitely argue, if if I was a lawyer, that the intent was that way, but if you look at the words, that's the fair market value prior to the, approval. I'm not sure that should matter.
We have this room at 7, but you guys are
Yeah,
still going?
we got a hard stop. We do.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, that's,
Okay.
this is some good, that's what this is really this, one of
I
the
think
major.
it's the crux of this, because we
Yeah.
can do all of this, but
Why
if
don't we
there's no
just
money to
focus,
do
yeah, let's
anything.
just focus for now on these topics.
Yeah.
You know, Mark, you're a pro, you can come up with some language for the letter. Sure, we'll all work together, yeah.
Section 2.38 and section 2.38 of what?
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I don't actually know where this came from, I think it's, yeah, I have to find out.
Is it a local thing, or?
No, it's our local town, like town charter or,
Yeah.
reg. Okay, do you have anything else you want?
Tim, what do you think about that? I mean, do you
We got 8
think
minutes, we gotta vote
developers
on
will go nuts?
data directors.
Doesn't matter, they're still gonna develop,
Yeah.
they still make a ton of money.
I know.
And it's just, yeah,
But they whine about it.
yeah, well, they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So there is a lot, there's a lot of, this other one, I think that there's some things that we can glean directly off of
Yeah, can you-
their hard work. And maybe I will highlight, a couple of there's a lot of things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then there's some that are just very right on point.
I just so kind of feel like, can we keep it simple? Like, they get so many documents, let's just focus on
Yeah.
this, what
Yeah.
we talked about
Yeah.
today,
Less
with like
is
a
more.
one-page letter. Or,
The biggest
I'm fine
two-page-
with also going
two-page
into
letter.
more of that.
I think it's important for us to, lay out the framework
Sure.
about the history and the natural resources that we have.
Yeah,
Especially if, when you look at the Fairfield POCD, if it doesn't do that, which I don't think it does.
okay.
Yeah, like a great thing she says in here, then I'll leave it with this, and she talks about the 10 goals, there's goals on page 10, right? The first 3 goals are all about, conservation, right? But when you talk about, when you go back over what it's talking about, they don't talk about conservation at all.
Yeah.
And so those first 3 goals, I think, was, the direct result of this meeting they had, where they had open tables, the very first POCD meeting, where they talked about the draft. And people talked about what was important to them. And those were the top 3 things that were important to them, yet they aren't discussed in that section.
And I do think that people in the town might pay a little bit more attention to our committee, just because of what's going on, in this document, because I don't think anybody really looked at it, but now with the overdevelopment, the
Yeah,
interesting
the
to see.
overdevelopment is really
Yeah.
what people.
I mean, because people are constantly posting, Fairfield, I thought people are up now for, because there's still some development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
18 units.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then the Circle there's Circle Motel, that one,
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
But you're right, I think it's as simple as is key, because there ain't no way they're going through this line by line and taking all that to heart, it's just way too much stuff.
Okay,
Can we get anywhere?
all right, so, all right, we got 5 minutes. Last line of business for tonight is to vote on our 2025 slate of land acquisition commission directors. Motion does anyone else want to run? Besides myself, Adam, and Cassandra, for the same
This
role.
is for another term,
This is for 2025.
am I up there?
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Gotta be.
This is,
Jen said that only, Joe DiMartino is up, and Joe hasn't even shown up. So there's actually gonna be an open spot for the group.
are you asking if you're turned out?
Yeah.
Because I looked at
I
LinkedIn, I've been doing this for 9 years, and I
know.
don't, but, and
I think I've been like a
Give me a
decade.
break, I'm an alternate.
I think,
Oh, you'd be full, actually, you'd be full now if we.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we
They
need you
start
all,
moving around, yeah.
we need participants. If you start in the middle of a term, it doesn't count, and I think that's what happened to me, started,
When do we term out?
I think there's.
It's on the website.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
check it out. But I have no other recommendations, I'm happy to serve again.
We need
Sandra, are you happy to serve again?
You know, I think it's really valuable.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm happy to serve again. Motion to approve the slate of directors for 2025, same as 24.
You motion,
I second.
and, okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
So I'm not promoted yet.
I think he might be promoted to full. I think he might
This is
be
just for
promoted.
officers?
This is just for officers.
Yeah, in 10 years, January 2016.
We started, like, with
Mark,
Mark,
I'll do what I can do.
right, with her was
Yeah.
here.
Yep,
Cassandra, I'll send you the updated Word documents, you want the other stuff too?
Yeah, do you want me to like fiddle with it?
Yeah,
or-
it's a lot, not a bit.
I mean,
so I put my toe in, I see like the little spots around it, and I send them to my friends, you should do this, you should do this. You know, just trying to get people involved.
Yeah,
All right,
Just
motion
like
to
the social
adjourn.
worker.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then
They were looking for.
Short and sweet.
it's short and sweet. Thanks, Tim. Still there?
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night, everybody.